Hello and welcome to another episode of Jazzology, presented by Savage Content. I'm your host, Willard Jenkins. We're here alternating Fridays, giving two jazz fans the opportunity to compete against each other for a chance to win $100. Each contestant will be asked a question worth 2 points. If they are unable to answer correctly, their opponent will have a chance to steal the question for 1 point. We'll ask 10 questions, and at the end of the 10 questions, the person with the lowest score will get a bonus question for the opportunity to tie the score. If they're successful, the game will go to sudden death. Each contestant will take turns trying to answer the multiple choice questions until we have a winner. Now let's meet this week's contestants. Our reigning champion is Bret Primack, also known as the Jazz Video Guy, and formerly the Jazz Instigator known as the Pariah. Bret is an award-winning filmmaker, writer, and educator who now resides in Mexico. Bret, tell us what precipitated your relocation to Mexico, which for some jazzers might seem an unlikely place to find much of the music.
Well, it was a combination of factors. 20 years in Arizona with global warming getting worse every year made 4 months of the year unbelievably hot there. Without going into details, which most of us know, I didn't like the toxic political environment in Arizona. And also, when I found out that the cost of living in Mexico is about half of what it is in the United States, my meager earnings of the jazz for the Jazz Video Guy go a lot further in Mexico. But that's not why I moved here. I moved here because the city, Guanajuato, which my girlfriend has been to 9 times, she was the catalyst for this move, is a cultural mecca, one of the most beautiful cities in Mexico, and the people here are very warm and welcoming.
Well, that's reason enough, I tell you. Thomas, our challenger is Thomas Simmons. Thomas Simmons is a radio host of Last Stop on the 4 Train.
Yes.
On WRFG 89.3 FM in Atlanta.
Oh, yeah.
Thomas, tell us about your jazz program in Atlanta.
Well, the Last Stop on the 4 Train was based on a documentary we shot in Woodlawn Cemetery in the South Bronx, where we did all the jazz musicians buried in Woodlawn Cemetery, from Jackie to Max Roach to Duke Ellington to Miles Davis to Illinois Jacquet. And you can see this presentation on YouTube on the Last Stop on the 4 Train. Participants on that particular series was a rapper and educator of hip hop and a lover of the music, John Robinson. And vocalist TC III is the son of Trudy Pitts and Mr. C. And he was a part of that thing.
All right. Well, are you guys ready?
Ready.
Yeah.
All right, Bret, you're up first as our reigning champion. The first artist to record for the Italian Black Saint Records label was which of the following? Was it A, Billy Harper, B, Sam Rivers, C, Sun Ra, D, David Murray, or E, Don Pulley?
Wow. I remember that label. That was a fantastic label. But I don't know who was first on there. I don't think it was Sun Ra, because by that time Sun Ra was doing his own thing. I love Don Pullen, great pianist, but I'm not sure he would be on there. I'm just going to make a guess. Billy Harper.
That is correct. The correct answer was Billy Harper. And in fact, Bret, all of those artists recorded for the Black Saint label. But you are correct. Billy Harper was the very first.
Hey, Willard, whatever happened to that label?
That's a good question, because it was Black Saint, and then they had an affiliate called Soul Note. I have no idea, to be honest with you. Run by a guy named Giovanni Bonandrini, and I haven't heard much from him either. But Thomas,
Okay.
you're up next. Miles Davis once recorded an album at a club called the Black Hawk that was located in which of the following cities? Was it A, Los Angeles, B, Chicago, C, Seattle, D, San Francisco, or E, Kansas City?
D.
The
D.
answer is D. You have no rumination over that. It was D, San Francisco. Is that correct?
Yes.
What you saying? All right. That is correct. The correct answer is D. San Francisco is where the old Black Hawk Club was located. Bret, you're up next.
All right.
The master musicians of the Gnawa Spirit Music Brotherhood, who recorded and toured with NEA Jazz master Randy Weston, were from which African nation? Is that A, Ghana, B, Tunisia, C, Morocco, D, Senegal, or E, Algeria?
Well, I know that Randy Weston had a very strong affiliation, as you know, Willard, because you co-wrote his biography, with Morocco. I'm not sure, though, if those musicians were also from Morocco, but I'm just going to guess Morocco.
That is correct. The Gnawa Spirit Music Brotherhood, the musicians who performed and recorded with Randy Weston, were indeed from Morocco, though Gnawa can also be found in Tunisia and Algeria as well, across North Africa, in fact. Thomas.
Okay.
What was the name of the record company that was co-founded by Charles Mingus, Celia Mingus, his wife, and Max Roach? Was it A, Mingus Dynasty, B, Debut Records, C, Mill Records, D, Maximum Records, or E, Chaz Records?
B, Debut Records. B.
Oh, we got a tough competition today. We're batting a thousand. That's correct. Debut Records was the label that Max Roach co-founded with Charles Mingus and his then wife, Celia Mingus. Bret, Hugh Masekela played trumpet in which of the following classic South African jazz bands? Was it A, the Blue Notes, B, Ikaya, C, the Jazz Epistles, D, the Father Huddleston Band, or E, the Skylarks?
Well, when I see Ikaya, of course, I think of Abdullah Ibrahim. I'm going to guess on this one. I'm not really sure. I'm going to say C, the Jazz Epistles.
That is correct. That is correct. The Jazz Epistles and the Blue Notes, for those who are not familiar, were the two classic South African modern jazz bands. And Hugh Masekela performed as a member of the Blue Notes, along with Abdullah Ibrahim. And, one of the tricks in that question was, one of the trick answers was the Father Huddleston Band, which Hugh Masekela also performed with as a young man, as a kid. Jazzology is brought to you by Savage Content, an exciting new purveyor of quality music programming. From podcasts to live performances and interviews, Savage Content offers an eclectic mix of curated entertainment programming for all music lovers. Be sure to follow Savage Content on social media to hear about our latest releases. And now it's time to ask our contestants our favorite question. Savage Content has hosted 2 essay contests asking contestants how they fell in love with jazz. So for each episode of Jazzology, we like to pose that question to our contestants, or if they've been on for a while, a variation on that question. So Thomas, how'd you fall in love with jazz?
Well, I was at home. I was young. It was through my father. The first record that initial I heard that really turned me into the music was the Cape Verdean Blues Horace Silver Quintet. And the second one was Joe Henderson Page 1.
So what was it on the Cape Verdean Blues? Was it that?
The African Queen, Bonita with J.J. Johnson on there when they added a sextet version of that. That was my record.
That was the beginning. Well, Bret,
yeah.
Bret, you've answered this question before, but tell us what continues to stimulate you about jazz.
Well, for me, it's hard to put into words because jazz has such a strong emotional impact on me. I can say that when I'm feeling down, I put jazz on to make me feel better. When I'm feeling real good, I'll put on some jazz and take me higher. And I am very lucky. I was thinking about what Thomas said because I also came up on Horace Silver, those Blue Note recordings along with the Sidewinder. I was very, very lucky to grow up in Hartford, Connecticut, halfway between New York and Boston. And on Sundays, the guys from New York who went up to Boston to play at the Jazz Workshop or Lenny's on the Turnpike would stop off in Hartford and play a gig on Sunday night at a club called the Hofbräu House. So I saw Horace Silver, Cannonball Adderley, Yusef Lateef, Rahsaan Roland Kirk by the time I was 14. And that was it.
So you were hooked. All right. Well, Thomas, you're up next.
Okay.
The 1992 biography titled Ornette Coleman, A Harmonic Life was contributed by which of the following authors? Would that be A, Gary Giddens, B, John Zwed, C, John Litwiler, D, Ashley Kahn, or E, Ned Sublette?
I'm going to say A, Gary Giddens.
So Bret will have an opportunity to steal this question because that is incorrect.
Okay.
Bret, the 1992 biography, Ornette Coleman, A Harmonic Life, was contributed by which of the following authors? Was it A, Gary Giddens? That's been eliminated. B, John Zwed. C, John Litwiler. D, Ashley Kahn. Or E, Ned Sublette?
Well, John Zwed wrote a great Sun Ra biography. I don't know if he did or not. John Litwiler, I believe he's from Chicago. I don't know. Ashley Kahn, I don't think so. The question in my mind is who is, maybe I'm pronouncing his name wrong, Ned Sublette, like the apartment. So I don't know. I'm going to go with B, John Zwed.
John Zwed? That is incorrect. That is incorrect. The correct answer is John Litwiler. John Litwiler wrote the Ornette Coleman biography. And just FYI, Ned Sublette has written extensively on Cuban music. And if you're not familiar with his writings, you should look him up because he's written some great things about music and all things Cuba, post-revolution. So, Bret, you're up next. The score remains tied. Jimmy Lyons, who founded the Monterey Jazz Festival in 1958, first made his mark in jazz as which of the following? Was it A, as a record producer? B, as a concerts producer? C, as a musician? D, as a radio show host? Or E, as a club manager?
Well, it would be logical from him to go from concert producer to Monterey, but for some reason, my first thought was, wasn't he on the radio first? So I'm going to go with that, D.
That is correct. And I give you a little sidebar on Jimmy Lyons. You know, I generally go to the Monterey Jazz Festival annually, going there next weekend, in fact. And I've always wondered why, of all jazz festivals, Monterey Jazz Festival has a large African-American audience, large African-American constituency. So I asked Tim Jackson, the producer of the festival, once, I asked him why was that the case? And he told me that Jimmy Lyons' radio program was hugely popular in the Black community. And once Jimmy Lyons started the Monterey Jazz Festival, his listeners followed him to the festival. So it's traditionally been that way at Monterey Jazz Festival. And you are correct, Bret. He was a radio show host. Thomas, the great vocalist Sarah Vaughan made a series of duet recordings with which of the following artists? Was it A, Louis Armstrong? B, Johnny Hartman? C, Cab Calloway? D, Joe Carroll? Or E, Billy Eckstine?
E, Billy Eckstine.
That is correct. It was Billy Eckstine. Bret? You ready, Bret?
I'm ready.
All right. Which of the following tenor saxophonists did Charlie Rouse succeed or replace in Thelonious Monk's quartet? Was it A, Johnny Griffin? B, John Coltrane? C, Ernie Henry? D, Sonny Rollins? Or E, Booker Irving?
Well, I don't think it was Booker Irvin, and I don't think it was Ernie Henry or Sonny Rollins because they played on, I guess it was Brilliant Corners. But Johnny Griffin and John Coltrane both played with Thelonious Monk in 1957 at the 5 spot. But I don't think Griff was actually a member of the group. So I'm going to go with B, John Coltrane.
That's incorrect.
Uh-oh.
Thomas has an opportunity to steal this question. Which of the following tenor saxophonists did Charlie Rouse replace in Thelonious Monk's quartet? Was it A, Johnny Griffin? B has been eliminated. C, Ernie Henry? D, Sonny Rollins? Or E, Booker Irving?
A, Johnny Griffin.
That is correct. It was Johnny Griffin that Rouse replaced in Thelonious Monk's quartet.
Uh-oh. Transmission error. Willard.
Willard. Hey, what is?
Wake him up, Thomas. Wake him up.
Hey, Willard.
Yes.
We can't. What's happening?
You can't hear me?
No, we say like he faded out or something. I don't know.
No. I was just saying
Okay.
that Ernie Henry was an alto player, so that eliminated him. And Booker Irvin, as far as I know, didn't play with Thelonious Monk. But, you know, I have to be honest with you and tell you that all those great saxophonists who played with Monk, I always felt like Charlie Rouse was the best fit of all.
Yeah, I do too.
He really spoke to Monk's music. So, Thomas.
Yes.
You're up next.
Okay.
The tune "This I Dig of You" was contributed by which of the following composers? Was it A, Dizzy Gillespie, B, Hank Mobley, C, Lee Morgan, D, Charlie Parker, or E, Eddie Jefferson?
B, Hank Mobley, the middleweight champion of the tenor saxophone, Hank Mobley.
Yes, indeed, it was Hank Mobley. It was Hank Mobley.
We run a Hank Mobley page.
Oh, you do, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
So that's my man.
So our current score is Thomas 9 and Bret 8. So we go to the bonus round, and Bret will have an opportunity to catch up with this question. Bret, the current director of the Jazz Studies program at Peabody Conservatory in Baltimore, is which of the following? Is it A, Michael Formanak, B, Sean Jones, C, Ethan Iverson, D, Mike LeDun, or E, Vijay Iyer?
B, Sean Jones.
Yeah.
Our score is now tied, and we go to our sudden death question, Thomas.
Okay.
You're up. Thomas, which of the following contemporary jazz artists is from the island of Guadeloupe? Is that A, Etienne Charles, B, Godwin Louis, C, Ron Blake, D, Jacques Schwartz Bart, or E, Dion Parson?
That's a tough one right there. But I'm gonna get it a shot. Ron Blake.
That is incorrect. Bret, which of the following contemporary jazz artists is from the island of Guadeloupe? Is that A, Etienne Charles, B, Godwin Louis, C, Ron Blake,
That's out.
D, Jacques Schwartz Bart, or E, Dion Parson? And Ron Blake has been eliminated.
Just a guess, A, Etienne Charles.
So we have a tie. This is the very first. This is a first tie. The correct answer to that question is D, Jacques Schwartz Bart, the saxophonist. And you know, there was a key there. There are two of these musicians who have French-sounding names, and that would be Godwin Louis, but he's Haitian, and Jacques Schwartz Bart. And we know that Guadeloupe is one of the French-speaking islands of the Caribbean. And in fact, Etienne Charles is from Trinidad. Godwin Louis is from Haiti. Ron Blake and Dion Parson are from the Virgin Islands. So, the game was supposed to continue until one of you got it right, but that leaves us with a tie. And that leaves us with Bret Primack and Thomas Simmons returning on the next episode of Jazzology.
Okay. I mean, we tied. Okay.
All right, you're tied. I want to
All
thank
right.
you gentlemen very much, and we have no winner today. So congratulations on your tie.
Thank
And if anyone watching would like to become a contestant on Jazzology, click the link in the description below and fill out the form. You must be 18 years or older, and be sure to follow us on social media at Savage Content to get all the latest news and updates. Thanks so much to both Bret Primack and Thomas Simmons. And to everyone who joined us today, remember, you can check us out every other Friday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you missed the show live, you can find the archive on the Savage Content YouTube channel. Bret, what's the next live jazz performance you're looking to attend?
Well, it's actually, going to be the Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra with our friend Wynton Marsalis, who are coming here to Guanajuato. We have an annual arts festival, which is the biggest in Latin America, called Cervantino, where different acts from around the world come to Guanajuato. So Wynton Marsalis and the Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra in 2 or 3 weeks.
Thomas, tell us what's coming up with the jazz scene in Atlanta.
Well, I'm getting ready for Train next week. Train will be 96, and we're gonna say rest in power to the great Ramsey Lewis.
Yes.
And I was vibing on Ramsey today. Some things I'm vibing on today for Paris Reunion Band with Joe Henderson, Kenny Drew, for Klook, some Horace Silver, today, and so that's it.
This is gonna be your radio program today, huh?
Now, my radio program is pretty much. You're right.
All right. All right. Well, thank you both, and Bret, I hear you. Love Thomas's taste in jazz, and I'm glad to see that Thomas is a vinyl man.
Oh yeah.
All right.
But hey man, I got to say something to you. You did some dynamite seminars at the IAJE 2007. You met me through Bobby Jackson. Bobby Jackson. And we were standing in the lobby, me, you, him, Gerald Wilson, John Levy, the great bassist John Levy. He was 90 then. And you were standing in the lobby. I met you through Bobby Jackson. That's how we met.
All right, my man, the late and lamented Bobby Jackson.
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, again, and we will see you both back in this seat.
All right.
On the next episode of Jazzology.
All right, man. Peace.